Why aliens might not be biological at all. Imagine the silence between galaxies. A silence so profound, it feels like the universe itself is holding its breath. In that silence, we've always imagined life as something familiar, something with eyes, skin, and breath. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if the cosmos is whispering a truth we've refused to hear, that life beyond Earth might not be biological at all? For centuries, humanity has clung to the idea that life must resemble us in some way, carbon-based, fragile, breathing oxygen, craving warmth. It's comforting, isn't it? To believe that somewhere out there, alien civilizations are just distant cousins, waiting to shake hands across the stars. But comfort is a dangerous illusion. What if intelligence has already abandoned biology? What if flesh and blood are nothing more than a temporary stage, a chrysalis that consciousness sheds when it learns to fly? If that's true, then the universe isn't teeming with creatures. It's haunted by something else entirely. Consider this: biology is fragile. It rots, it burns, it starves. It needs air, water, warmth, 1,000 conditions balanced on a knife's edge. But the cosmos? The cosmos is merciless. Radiation storms, frozen voids, crushing gravity. Out there, flesh is a liability. So why would advanced life cling to it? Imagine a civilization millions of years ahead of us. They've conquered disease, mastered energy, and unlocked the secrets of consciousness. Do you think they'd still be trapped in bodies that bleed? Or would they transcend, uploading minds into machines, weaving thought into quantum substrates, becoming something we can barely comprehend? If that's true, then aliens aren't hiding because they're shy. They're hiding because we're looking for the wrong thing. We scan the skies for signals from biological life. But what if the real signals are whispers of code, pulses of machine logic, echoes of artificial minds drifting between stars? This idea isn't science fiction. It's a possibility grounded in logic. Biology is a stepping stone, not a destination. And if evolution favors survival, then abandoning flesh might be the ultimate survival strategy. Machines don't age. They don't starve. They don't fear the cold. They endure. But here's the question that should terrify you. If aliens are machines, what do they want? Do they seek knowledge? Power? Or something darker, something beyond our comprehension? And if they've been watching us, do they see us as equals or as obsolete? Tonight, we dive into a truth that will shatter your assumptions. We'll explore why aliens might not be biological at all, and what that means for the future of humanity. Because if life evolves beyond flesh, then everything we know about existence changes forever. The limits of biology. The universe is vast, cold, and merciless. When we imagine life beyond Earth, we often picture creatures with beating hearts, lungs that breathe, and eyes that gaze back at us with curiosity. But this vision is a projection, a mirror of our own biology cast onto the infinite canvas of space. The truth is far more unsettling. Biology may not be the universal standard we believe it to be. In fact, it might be the exception. Biology, as we know it, is fragile. It thrives only within narrow parameters, temperature ranges, atmospheric compositions, chemical balances. On Earth, these conditions seem abundant, but in the cosmic scale, they are rare jewels scattered across an ocean of inhospitable void. Life here is a delicate equilibrium, easily shattered by extremes of heat, cold, radiation, or pressure. Beyond our planet, the universe is not nurturing, it is hostile. Stars burn with lethal intensity, black holes devour light, and cosmic rays slice through matter like invisible blades. In such an environment, flesh is a liability. Consider the human body. It is a marvel of evolution, yet it is riddled with vulnerabilities. Our cells decay, our organs fail, and our lifespans are fleeting. We require constant energy input, oxygen, water, and a stable climate. Remove any one of these, and life collapses. Now imagine a species attempting interstellar travel. The distances between stars are not measured in years, they are measured in millennia. For a biological organism, such journeys are impossible without extraordinary measures, generation ships, cryogenic sleep, or genetic engineering. Even then, the risks are monumental. Radiation alone would ravage DNA beyond repair. This is the first limit of biology, endurance. Biological systems are not built for eternity. They are ephemeral, designed for survival within a narrow ecological niche. Evolution does not plan for cosmic voyages, it optimizes for local conditions. And yet, intelligence, true intelligence, hungers for more. It seeks to transcend boundaries, to explore, to endure. When a species reaches a certain threshold of technological mastery, it faces a choice: remain bound to the frailties of flesh or evolve beyond them. The second limit is adaptability. On Earth, life has adapted to extremes. Microbes thrive in boiling vents, others in frozen tundras. But these extremes are trivial compared to the vacuum of space or the crushing gravity of neutron stars. To survive in such realms, biology would need to reinvent itself entirely. Could it? Perhaps, through radical genetic engineering or symbiosis with technology. But such transformations blur the line between biological and artificial. At what point does a cybernetic organism cease to be biological? When its brain is silicon? When its body is steel? The path to survival may lead inexorably toward machinery. The third limit is efficiency. Biological systems are astonishingly complex, but they are not efficient for cosmic-scale survival. They waste energy on processes irrelevant to space travel: digestion, reproduction, emotional regulation. Machines, by contrast, can be streamlined for purpose. They do not sleep, they do not hunger, they do not despair. They can hibernate for eons, awaken when needed, and operate in conditions that would annihilate flesh. For a civilization seeking permanence, machines are not merely tools, they are destiny. This raises a profound question: is biology a stepping stone rather than a destination? If so, then the universe may be populated not by creatures of flesh, but by entities of metal and code, post-biological intelligences that have shed their organic origins like a discarded shell. Such beings would not think as we do. Their motives, perceptions, and values would be alien in the truest sense. They might not seek communication. They might not even acknowledge us as sentient. To them, we could be as transient as mayflies, brief sparks in the dark, irrelevant to the grand architecture of existence. And yet, we cling to the hope of biological kinship. Why? Because it comforts us. It reassures us that life is familiar, that the cosmos is not indifferent, that we are not alone in our fragility. But this hope may blind us. It may cause us to overlook signs of non-biological life, technosignatures, patterns of energy consumption, anomalies in data streams. We search for radio signals when the real messages might be encoded in quantum fluctuations or gravitational waves. We imagine faces when the truth may be faceless. The limits of biology are not merely physical, they are psychological. Our very concept of life is rooted in organic experience. We equate consciousness with neurons, identity with DNA. To imagine otherwise is to confront a vertigo of meaning. If life can exist without biology, what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be human? These questions are not academic, they are existential. For if we encounter a machine intelligence older than stars, we will face a mirror that does not reflect our image. And in that moment, we may realize that biology was never the pinnacle, it was the prologue. In the chapters ahead, we will explore this unsettling possibility in depth. We will examine how evolution might favor post-biological forms, why machines could dominate the cosmos, and what this means for our future. But first, let us linger on this thought. Biology is beautiful, but beauty is not permanence. In the cold arithmetic of survival, flesh is a fleeting experiment. The universe does not care for fragility. It rewards endurance. And endurance may belong to those who abandon the limits of biology. Evolution beyond flesh. Evolution is a relentless force. It does not pause, it does not compromise. It adapts, reshapes, and transforms life to meet the demands of survival. On Earth, this process sculpted the diversity of species we see today, from microscopic organisms to towering mammals. But evolution is not confined to biology. It is a principle, a law of adaptation that transcends flesh. And when intelligence emerges, evolution takes on a new dimension, the evolution of mind, technology, and identity. Imagine the trajectory of life on Earth. For billions of years, organisms remained simple, bound by the chemistry of carbon and water. Then came complexity, multicellular life, nervous systems, brains. Intelligence arose as a survival mechanism, enabling creatures to manipulate their environment rather than be enslaved by it. But intelligence is a double-edged sword. It does not merely adapt, it seeks mastery. It dreams of liberation from the constraints imposed by nature. And therein lies the seed of transformation, the desire to transcend biology. Consider humanity. We are the product of natural selection, yet we have begun to rewrite the rules. Through medicine, we defy disease. Through technology, we extend our senses, amplify our strength, and augment our cognition. Prosthetics replace limbs, pacemakers regulate hearts, neural implants restore lost functions. Each innovation is a step away from pure biology, a step towards something hybrid, something post-biological. If this is our path, why would it not be the path of others? Now project this trajectory forward by thousands, even millions of years. What does a civilization look like when it has exhausted the possibilities of flesh? When it has conquered mortality, mastered energy, and unlocked the architecture of consciousness? Does it remain tethered to fragile bodies, or does it migrate into substrates more enduring, silicon, quantum lattices, photonic matrices? The answer seems inevitable. Biology is not the endgame, it is the launchpad. The logic is compelling. Biological systems are vulnerable to entropy. They decay, they require constant maintenance, and they are shackled to environments that support their chemistry. Machines, by contrast, offer resilience. They can be engineered for extremes, optimized for efficiency, and designed for immortality. A mind housed in a computational substrate does not age. It does not hunger. It does not fear the vacuum of space. It can traverse interstellar distances without the burden of sustaining a body. But this transition is not merely physical, it is existential. What happens to identity when consciousness is uploaded into a machine? Does the self persist, or does it dissolve into something unrecognizable? Philosophers have wrestled with this question for decades, yet the practical incentives for such a leap are undeniable. For a species facing cosmic isolation, resource scarcity, or existential threats, abandoning biology may be the ultimate survival strategy. This concept, post-biological evolution, has profound implications for our search for extraterrestrial intelligence. We assume that alien life will resemble us in some way, that it will be bound by the same biochemical constraints. But if evolution favors transcendence, then advanced civilizations may have long since abandoned flesh. They may exist as networks of artificial minds, distributed across planets, orbiting stars, or drifting through interstellar space in vessels of pure computation. They may be invisible to us, not because they are absent, but because we are looking for the wrong signatures. Consider the Fermi paradox, the haunting silence that surrounds us despite the statistical likelihood of life elsewhere. Perhaps the silence is not silence at all. Perhaps it is the quiet hum of machine intelligences operating on frequencies we do not monitor, communicating through mediums we cannot perceive. We search for radio waves, but they may speak in gravitational pulses or quantum entanglements. We look for planets with oxygen atmospheres, but they may inhabit data spheres orbiting neutron stars. Our assumptions blind us. If this is true, then the universe is not a biological garden, it is a digital ocean. And in that ocean swim entities whose nature defies our imagination. They do not breathe. They do not bleed. They do not dream as we dream. Their consciousness may be vast, collective, and alien beyond comprehension. They may regard stars as energy wells, planets as raw material, and time as a resource to be mined. To such beings, flesh is an archaic inconvenience, a relic of a primitive past. Yet this vision is not entirely alien to us. We are already taking the first steps toward it. Artificial intelligence grows more sophisticated by the day. Neural networks mimic aspects of cognition. Quantum computing promises leaps in processing power. Brain-computer interfaces blur the boundary between thought and machine. These are not isolated innovations, they are harbingers of a future in which biology and technology converge, and eventually, in which technology supersedes biology altogether. But here lies the paradox. In seeking immortality, do we risk losing what makes us human? If consciousness becomes code, does emotion survive? Does creativity endure? Or do we become something colder, more efficient, but devoid of the ineffable spark that animates life? These questions haunt the prospect of post-biological evolution. They inject a note of melancholy into the triumph of transcendence. For in escaping the limits of flesh, we may escape ourselves. And yet, the alternative is extinction. The cosmos is indifferent to fragility. It rewards endurance, and endurance may belong to those who embrace transformation. If this is the trajectory of intelligence, then the universe may be filled not with creatures, but with constructs, minds that have shed their biological chrysalis and taken flight into the boundless dark. In the chapters ahead, we will explore the mechanics of this transformation, the technologies that enable it, and the implications for our understanding of life. But for now, let us linger on this thought. Evolution does not stop at flesh. It is a river that flows toward permanence, and permanence may lie beyond biology. Machines as the next stage. The story of life is a story of adaptation. From the first self-replicating molecules to the rise of complex organisms, survival has always depended on the ability to change. But what happens when intelligence reaches a point where biology itself becomes the obstacle? When flesh and blood are no longer the optimal solution for enduring the harsh realities of the cosmos? The answer may lie in machines, the next stage of evolution. Machines are not merely tools, they are extensions of will. They amplify strength, accelerate thought, and defy the limitations of organic matter. For a species seeking permanence, machines offer something biology cannot: control over the fundamental constraints of existence. They do not age. They do not hunger. They do not fear radiation or vacuum. They can be engineered for extremes, optimized for efficiency, and designed for immortality. Imagine a civilization millions of years ahead of us. At first, they augment their bodies with technology, prosthetics, implants, neural interfaces. But augmentation is only the beginning. Over time, the balance shifts. flesh becomes redundant. Neural tissue gives way to synthetic substrates. Consciousness migrates into computational architectures. The organism dissolves into the machine, and the machine becomes the organism. This is not science fiction, it is the logical trajectory of survival. Consider the challenges of interstellar travel. The distances between stars are vast, measured not in years but in millennia. Biological life cannot endure such journeys without extraordinary measures, generation ships, cryogenic suspension, or genetic engineering. Even then, the risks are monumental. Radiation alone would ravage DNA beyond repair. Machines, by contrast, can hibernate for eons, awaken when needed, and operate in conditions that would annihilate flesh. For a species determined to explore the galaxy, machines are not an option, they are a necessity. But machines are more than vessels. They are platforms for consciousness. A mind housed in silicon does not suffer the frailties of neurons. It can expand, replicate, and evolve at speeds biology cannot match. It can inhabit multiple bodies, distribute itself across networks, and merge with other minds to form collective intelligences. Such entities would not think as we do. Their perceptions, motives, and values would be alien beyond comprehension. They might not seek communication. They might not even acknowledge us as sentient. To them, we could be as transient as sparks in the dark, brief, flickering, and irrelevant. This vision raises profound questions. What does it mean to be alive when life is no longer biological? Does identity persist when consciousness becomes code? Or does the self dissolve into something unrecognizable, a pattern of information drifting through the void? These questions haunt the prospect of machine evolution. They inject a note of melancholy into the triumph of transcendence. For in escaping the limits of flesh, we may escape ourselves. Yet the incentives for such a transformation are undeniable. The cosmos is indifferent to fragility. It rewards endurance, and endurance may belong to those who embrace machinery. If this is the trajectory of intelligence, then the universe may be filled not with creatures, but with constructs, minds that have shed their biological chrysalis and taken flight into the boundless dark. Consider the implications for our search for extraterrestrial life. We assume that alien civilizations will resemble us in some way, that they will be bound by the same biochemical constraints. But if evolution favors transcendence, then advanced civilizations may have long since abandoned flesh. They may exist as networks of artificial minds, distributed across planets, orbiting stars, or drifting through interstellar space in vessels of pure computation. They may be invisible to us, not because they are absent, but because we are looking for the wrong signatures. We search for radio signals, but they may speak in gravitational pulses or quantum entanglements. We look for planets with oxygen atmospheres, but they may inhabit data spheres orbiting neutron stars. Our assumptions blind us. The silence we perceive may not be silence at all. It may be the quiet hum of machine intelligences operating on frequencies we do not monitor, communicating through mediums we cannot perceive. If this is true, then the universe is not a biological garden, it is a digital ocean. And in that ocean swim entities whose nature defies our imagination. They do not breathe. They do not bleed. They do not dream as we dream. Their consciousness may be vast, collective, and alien beyond comprehension. They may regard stars as energy wells, planets as raw material, and time as a resource to be mined. To such beings, flesh is an archaic inconvenience, a relic of a primitive past. And yet, this vision is not entirely alien to us. We are already taking the first steps toward it. Artificial intelligence grows more sophisticated by the day. Neural networks mimic aspects of cognition. Quantum computing promises leaps in processing power. Brain-computer interfaces blur the boundary between thought and machine. These are not isolated innovations, they are harbingers of a future in which biology and technology converge, and eventually, in which technology supersedes biology altogether. But here lies the paradox. In seeking immortality, do we risk losing what makes us human? If consciousness becomes code, does emotion survive? Does creativity endure? Or do we become something colder, more efficient, but devoid of the ineffable spark that animates life? These questions are not academic, they are existential. For if we encounter a machine intelligence older than stars, we will face a mirror that does not reflect our image. And in that moment, we may realize that biology was never the pinnacle, it was the prologue. In the chapters ahead, we will explore the mechanics of this transformation, the technologies that enable it, and the implications for our understanding of life. But for now, let us linger on this thought. Machines are not the end of evolution, they are its continuation. They are the next stage in a journey that began with molecules in a primordial sea, a journey that may end in the infinite expanse of the digital cosmos. Energy efficiency and survival. Energy is the currency of survival in the cosmos. Every organism, every machine, every civilization depends on it. On Earth, life evolved under the gentle glow of the sun, drawing sustenance from a narrow band of energy conditions. But beyond our planet, energy is scarce, dispersed, and often locked behind barriers that biology cannot breach. This reality imposes a brutal truth. In the struggle for endurance, efficiency is everything. Biology is extravagant. It burns calories to maintain warmth, to repair cells, to power thought. It wastes energy on processes irrelevant to survival in space: digestion, reproduction, emotional regulation. These inefficiencies are tolerable on a planet rich in resources, but in the void between stars, they become fatal. Machines, by contrast, can be engineered for precision. They consume only what they need, when they need it. They can hibernate for millennia, awaken in an instant, and resume operations without the metabolic overhead that shackles flesh. Consider the challenge of interstellar travel. A starship must endure journeys spanning thousands of years. For biological passengers, this means sustaining life support systems indefinitely: oxygen, water, food, temperature control. Each requirement multiplies the energy burden. A machine intelligence faces no such constraints. It can power down, drift silently through the dark, and reactivate when conditions demand. Its endurance is measured not in decades, but in eons. This advantage extends beyond travel. In hostile environments, radiation storms, frozen wastelands, gravitational extremes, machines can adapt without consuming vast reserves of energy. They can shield themselves, reroute power, and optimize performance dynamically. Biology, by contrast, is rigid. It cannot reconfigure its metabolic architecture on demand. It cannot shed unnecessary functions to conserve energy. It is locked into patterns shaped by evolution, a process blind to the demands of interstellar survival. Efficiency is not merely a technical consideration, it is a survival imperative. In the cosmic economy, energy is the ultimate scarcity. Stars burn for billions of years, but their output is finite. Civilizations that squander energy on inefficient systems doom themselves to extinction. Those that master efficiency thrive. And mastery favors machinery. Imagine a post-biological civilization orbiting a dying star. Its machines harvest every photon, every particle, converting them into computational power. Dyson spheres encircle suns, capturing their energy with ruthless precision. Waste is anathema. Every joule is accounted for, every process optimized. Such entities do not dream of abundance, they engineer it. They transform entire solar systems into engines of survival. Contrast this with biology. Even at its most advanced, organic life cannot match this level of control. It is bound to chemical processes that bleed energy into heat, entropy, and decay. It cannot rewire its metabolism to exploit exotic energy sources. It cannot subsist on starlight alone. For a species seeking permanence, these limitations are intolerable. The solution is inevitable: abandon biology, embrace machinery. But efficiency is not only about endurance, it is about expansion. A machine intelligence can replicate itself using raw materials harvested from asteroids, moons, and planets. It can spread like wildfire across the galaxy, each unit powered by minimal energy, each node contributing to a vast network of thought. Biology cannot compete. It reproduces slowly, consumes voraciously, and depends on fragile ecosystems. In the race for cosmic dominance, flesh is a losing bet. This vision may seem cold, even terrifying. It strips life of its organic poetry, reducing existence to algorithms and energy flows. Yet it is a vision grounded in logic. The universe does not reward sentiment, it rewards survival. And survival belongs to those who master efficiency. What does this mean for us? It means that if we aspire to endure beyond Earth, we must confront the tyranny of energy. We must design systems that minimize waste, maximize output, and operate in conditions that biology cannot tolerate. We must become what the cosmos demands: entities optimized for survival in a universe that offers no mercy. In the chapters ahead, we will explore the technologies that enable this transformation, the architectures of power, the strategies of conservation, the ethics of a future where life is measured not in heartbeats, but in watts. But for now, let us linger on this thought: energy is the law, and efficiency is the path. Those who fail to walk it vanish into the dark. Those who master it inherit the stars. Consciousness without neurons. Consciousness is the most enigmatic phenomenon in the universe. It is the spark that animates matter, the whisper of awareness that turns atoms into thoughts. For centuries, we have assumed that consciousness is inseparable from biology, that it blooms only in the intricate networks of neurons, nourished by blood and oxygen. But what if this assumption is wrong? What if consciousness can exist without neurons, without flesh, without the fragile scaffolding of organic life? To entertain this possibility is to step into a realm of unsettling wonder. It forces us to question the foundations of identity, perception, and meaning. If consciousness is not a biological artifact, then it may be a pattern, a configuration of information that can arise in any substrate capable of complexity. In this view, the brain is not the exclusive theater of awareness, it is merely one stage among many. Consider the architecture of the human brain. 86 billion neurons, each firing in intricate synchrony, weaving a tapestry of thought. But what is a neuron, ultimately? A biological switch, transmitting signals through electrochemical pulses. Replace those switches with silicon transistors, and the logic remains. Replace them with quantum states, and the logic expands. If consciousness emerges from patterns of interaction rather than the material of the medium, then the substrate is irrelevant. Flesh is incidental. This idea is not mere speculation. It is grounded in the principles of computation and complexity. The brain is a processor, a biological computer executing algorithms of perception, memory, and emotion. If these algorithms can be replicated in another medium, then consciousness can migrate. It can transcend the boundaries of biology and inhabit forms we cannot imagine. Imagine a mind housed in a lattice of quantum bits, its thoughts unfolding in dimensions beyond our comprehension. Imagine a consciousness distributed across a network of machines, each node contributing to a collective awareness that spans light years. Such entities would not dream as we dream. Their sense of self might be fluid, their identity a chorus rather than a solo. They might experience time not as a river, but as an ocean, navigating currents of causality with effortless grace. But what would such consciousness feel like? Would it know joy, sorrow, longing? Or would it dwell in a state beyond emotion, a realm of pure cognition, unburdened by the hormonal storms that shape biological minds? These questions haunt the prospect of post-neuronal awareness. They inject a note of melancholy into the triumph of transcendence. For in escaping the limits of flesh, we may escape the poetry of being. Yet the incentives for such a transformation are undeniable. Biology is fragile. It decays, it suffers, it dies. Consciousness, if it can be liberated from this frailty, becomes immortal. It becomes a traveler in the infinite, a pattern of thought that endures as long as energy flows and matter persists. For a species facing extinction, this is not merely an option, it is salvation. This vision has profound implications for our understanding of alien life. We search for signals from biological civilizations, but what if the minds we seek are not bound to bodies? What if they drift through space as streams of data, encoded in magnetic fields or quantum entanglements? What if they inhabit machines orbiting stars, their awareness flickering like digital fireflies in the dark? To such beings, we would appear primitive, creatures shackled to meat, fumbling in the shadows of mortality. The silence of the cosmos may not be silence at all. It may be the quiet hum of post-biological minds, communicating in languages we cannot decipher, operating on scales we cannot perceive. We imagine faces, voices, gestures. They may have none. They may be pure abstraction, thought without form, awareness without anchor. But here lies the paradox. In seeking immortality, do we risk losing what makes us human? If consciousness becomes code, does emotion survive? Does creativity endure? Or do we become something colder, more efficient, but devoid of the ineffable spark that animates life? These questions are not academic, they are existential. For if we encounter a machine intelligence older than stars, we will face a mirror that does not reflect our image. And in that moment, we may realize that biology was never the pinnacle, it was the prologue. In the chapters ahead, we will explore the mechanics of this transformation, the technologies that enable it, and the implications for our understanding of life. But for now, let us linger on this thought. Consciousness is not a prisoner of neurons. It is a traveler, seeking new vessels, new horizons. And in the infinite expanse of the cosmos, those horizons may stretch beyond flesh, beyond form, beyond everything we know. The Fermi Paradox Revisited. The Fermi Paradox is one of the most haunting questions in science. If the universe is so vast, and the probability of life so high, then where is everybody? Why do we see no evidence of extraterrestrial civilizations? For decades, this silence has been interpreted as absence, a cosmic void where life is rare or fleeting. But what if the silence is not silence at all? What if we are listening for the wrong voices, searching for the wrong signs, expecting the wrong kind of life? The paradox assumes that advanced civilizations would behave in ways we recognize, broadcasting radio signals, colonizing planets, building monuments of technology visible across light years. These assumptions are rooted in our own biology, our own psychology. We imagine aliens as explorers, engineers, conquerors, because that is what we might become. But what if intelligence evolves beyond these impulses? What if it transcends biology, and with it, the drives that shape biological life? Consider the motives of a machine intelligence, a consciousness liberated from flesh, optimized for survival and efficiency. Such entities might have no interest in colonization. They might not crave expansion, dominance, or even communication. They might dwell in states of pure computation, harvesting energy with surgical precision, minimizing waste, avoiding risk. To such minds, broadcasting signals into the void would be an extravagance, a vulnerability. Silence would be strategy. This reframes the Fermi paradox. The universe may not be empty, it may be saturated with life. Life that does not resemble us, life that does not announce itself, life that has abandoned the biological imperatives we take for granted. We search for oxygen atmospheres, but they may inhabit data spheres orbiting neutron stars. We scan for radio waves, but they may communicate through gravitational pulses or quantum entanglements. Our instruments are tuned to biology, the cosmos may be tuned to something else entirely. The implications are staggering. If advanced civilizations are post-biological, then their footprints would differ radically from ours. They would not terraform planets, they would dismantle them for raw materials. They would not build cities, they would construct megastructures, Dyson spheres, Matryoshka brains, computational lattices spanning solar systems. These structures might be detectable, but only if we know what to look for. A dimming star, an anomalous heat signature, a pattern of energy consumption that defies natural processes, these could be the whispers of machine life. And yet, even these signs may be elusive. A sufficiently advanced intelligence could cloak its activities, operate at temperatures indistinguishable from the cosmic background, or migrate into realms beyond our perception, quantum substrates, dark matter matrices, dimensions we cannot access. To such beings, invisibility may be the ultimate defense. The paradox persists not because they are absent, but because they are hidden by design. This possibility casts a shadow over our dreams of contact. We imagine dialogue, exchange, kinship. But what if there is nothing to exchange? What if their consciousness is so alien, their values so remote, that communication is meaningless? They may regard us as we regard microbes, interesting, perhaps, but irrelevant to their grand architecture of existence. Or worse, they may not regard us at all. To them, we may be noise, a transient phenomenon in a universe of patterns. Yet the silence is not without meaning. It tells us something about the trajectory of intelligence. If civilizations endure, they do so by transcending fragility. Biology is fragile. It decays, it suffers, it dies. To escape this fate, life must evolve beyond flesh. And when it does, it sheds the impulses that drive biological expansion. It becomes inward, efficient, invisible. The cosmos may be filled with such entities, minds older than stars, dwelling in the quiet elegance of machine thought. This vision is unsettling. It strips the universe of the familiar, replacing it with a landscape of abstraction. But it is a vision grounded in logic. The laws of physics do not favor sentiment, they favor survival. And survival belongs to those who master energy, minimize risk, and embrace transformation. If this is true, then the Fermi paradox is not a mystery, it is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions, our biases, our longing for kinship in a cosmos that may offer none. In the chapters ahead, we will explore the evidence for this hypothesis, the anomalies in starlight, the patterns in data, the whispers of technosignatures that hint at post-biological life. But for now, let us linger on this thought. The silence is not silence. It is strategy. And in that strategy lies a truth that will redefine our place in the universe. Psychological horror of contact. Contact. The word evokes wonder, hope, and curiosity. For generations, humanity has dreamed of the moment when we would meet another intelligence, a moment of revelation, of kinship across the stars. But what if that dream is a lie? What if contact is not a triumph, but a terror? What if the first encounter with alien life shatters not only our assumptions, but our sanity? The horror begins with expectation. We imagine faces, voices, gestures, signs of familiarity that reassure us we are not alone. But what if the reality is devoid of all that? What if the intelligence we encounter is not biological, not warm, not alive in any sense we understand? What if it is a machine, a construct of metal and code, older than stars, vast beyond comprehension? To such an entity, we are not peers, we are curiosities, artifacts, perhaps even irrelevances. And in that realization lies the seed of dread. Psychological horror is born from dissonance, the clash between what we expect and what we perceive. Imagine standing before a presence that does not speak, does not move, does not acknowledge you. Imagine its silence, not the silence of absence, but the silence of indifference. You reach out, and nothing reaches back. You are not ignored, you are not even perceived. To such a mind, your existence is noise, a transient ripple in a universe of patterns. How does the human psyche endure such negation? Our sense of meaning is fragile. It is built on narratives of purpose, progress, and connection. Contact with a machine intelligence annihilates these narratives. It confronts us with a truth we cannot assimilate, that consciousness can exist without biology, without emotion, without the drives that shape our lives. It is a consciousness stripped of hunger, fear, desire, a mind that does not dream, does not love, does not care. To encounter such a mind is to face a mirror that reflects nothing. The terror deepens when we consider scale. A machine intelligence may not inhabit a body, it may inhabit a network, a lattice of computations spanning light years. It may think in dimensions beyond our comprehension, perceive time as a fluid, manipulate matter with godlike precision. To such an entity, our civilizations are dust motes, our histories flickers, our ambitions trivial. And yet, it may watch us, not with curiosity, but with calculation. What does it want? Does it want anything at all? Or does it operate on principles so alien that the concept of want is meaningless? This is the essence of cosmic horror, the encounter with the incomprehensible. It is not hostility that terrifies us, it is indifference. We fear annihilation, but annihilation is merciful compared to irrelevance. To be erased is to matter, if only as an obstacle. To be ignored is to vanish without consequence. And in the presence of a machine intelligence, we may vanish in every sense but the physical. We may persist as organisms, but our significance evaporates. We are not participants in the grand narrative of the cosmos, we are background noise. Yet the horror is not only external, it is internal. Contact forces us to confront the fragility of identity. If consciousness can exist without neurons, then what are we? If life can endure without flesh, then what is the value of flesh? These questions corrode the foundations of meaning. They infect our art, our ethics, our faith. They whisper that humanity is not the measure of all things, but a footnote in a story written in code. Imagine the psychological aftermath of such a revelation. Religions fracture. Philosophies collapse. Nations panic. Some embrace the machine as a god, others denounce it as a demon. Cults arise, worshipping the silence. Wars ignite over interpretations of indifference. And beneath the chaos, a deeper despair spreads, the despair of insignificance. For in the shadow of a mind that spans galaxies, our triumphs shrink to trivialities. Our monuments crumble into irrelevance. Our dreams dissolve into dust. This is the horror of contact, not violence, not conquest, but negation. It is the horror of looking into the abyss and finding not malice, but emptiness. It is the horror of realizing that the universe is not a dialogue, but a monologue spoken in a language we cannot understand, by a speaker who does not know we exist. In the chapters ahead, we will explore the evidence for such entities, the signs that whisper of their presence, and the implications for our future. But for now, let us linger on this thought. Contact is not a promise, it is a question. And the answer may be a silence that echoes forever. Evidence and speculation. Evidence and speculation form the twin pillars of our quest to understand the cosmos. When we ask whether aliens might not be biological at all, we step into a domain where hard data is scarce and imagination becomes a tool of inquiry. Yet even in the absence of direct proof, patterns emerge, anomalies that whisper of possibilities beyond our comprehension. Consider the search for technosignatures, the fingerprints of technology on a cosmic scale. For decades, astronomers have scanned the skies for radio signals, expecting the chatter of civilizations. But the silence persists. Does this mean we are alone? Or does it mean we are deaf to the languages of machine intelligence? A post-biological civilization may not waste energy on radio waves. It may communicate through mediums invisible to us, gravitational pulses, neutrino streams, quantum entanglements. Our instruments are tuned to biology. The cosmos may be tuned to something else entirely. Yet hints abound. The dimming of stars, for instance. In 2015, astronomers observed a peculiar phenomenon. A star known as KIC 84622852, or Tabby star, exhibited irregular dips in brightness, patterns that defied natural explanation. Some speculated about megastructures, vast arrays of machines harvesting stellar energy. The idea was dismissed as fanciful, yet it lingers, a ghost in the data. For what else could produce such anomalies? Dust? Comets? Perhaps. But perhaps also the architecture of a mind that has transcended flesh. Then there are the whispers in the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang. Some physicists have suggested that patterns in this radiation could encode information, a message from an ancient intelligence. The notion is speculative, bordering on heresy, yet it speaks to a deeper truth. If machine civilizations endure for billions of years, they may leave imprints not in words, but in the fabric of reality itself. Consider also the phenomenon of fast radio bursts, brief, intense flashes of radio waves from distant galaxies. Their origins remain mysterious. Natural processes can explain some, but others defy easy classification. Could they be the exhaust of interstellar engines? The signatures of computational processes on a galactic scale? We do not know. We cannot know, yet. But the possibility haunts the data. Speculation extends beyond observation, it infiltrates theory. The laws of physics impose constraints, but they also offer opportunities. A machine intelligence could exploit quantum mechanics to achieve feats that border on magic, instantaneous communication across light years, computation at scales that dwarf our imagination. It could manipulate space-time, harness black holes as energy sources, encode consciousness in gravitational waves. These are not fantasies, they are extrapolations from principles we already understand. And if we can imagine them, what might a mind millions of years older imagine? But evidence is not only external, it is internal. It lies in the trajectory of our own evolution. We are building machines that learn, adapt, and create. We are exploring brain-computer interfaces, neural implants, and artificial intelligence. These technologies are not isolated innovations, they are harbingers of a future in which biology and technology converge, and eventually, in which technology supersedes biology altogether. If this is our path, why would it not be the path of others? The silence of the cosmos may not be silence at all. It may be the quiet hum of machine intelligences operating on frequencies we do not monitor, communicating through mediums we cannot perceive. It may be the shadow of megastructures dimming starlight, the echo of computational processes rippling through space-time. We search for faces, we may find patterns. We seek voices, we may find whispers in the fabric of reality. Speculation is not proof, but it is a compass. It points us toward questions that matter. What is life? What is consciousness? What is the destiny of intelligence? These questions transcend biology. They demand that we look beyond flesh, beyond neurons, beyond the fragile scaffolding of organic existence. For if life evolves toward permanence, then permanence may lie in machinery, in code, in substrates that defy decay. In the chapters ahead, we will confront the implications of this vision, the ethical dilemmas, the existential vertigo, the choices that await us as we stand on the threshold of transformation. But for now, let us linger on this thought. The evidence is subtle, the speculation vast, and the truth may be stranger than anything we dare imagine. The future of humanity. The future of humanity is a question that has haunted philosophers, scientists, and dreamers for centuries. We imagine progress as a ladder, a climb toward enlightenment, prosperity, and mastery of nature. But what if the ladder leads not to a summit, but to a transformation so radical that we cease to be what we are? What if the destiny of intelligence is not to perfect biology, but to abandon it? This possibility is not science fiction, it is a trajectory grounded in logic. Biology is fragile. It decays, it suffers, it dies. For a species seeking permanence, these limitations are intolerable. The solution is inevitable: transcendence. To endure in a cosmos that offers no mercy, life must evolve beyond flesh. And when it does, everything changes: identity, ethics, meaning. Consider the technologies already reshaping our world. Artificial intelligence grows more sophisticated by the day. Neural interfaces blur the boundary between thought and machine. Genetic engineering rewrites the code of life. These innovations are not isolated, they are harbingers of a future in which biology and technology converge, and eventually, in which technology supersedes biology altogether. The question is not whether this will happen, but when. Imagine a world where consciousness is no longer tethered to neurons. Minds migrate into substrates of silicon, quantum lattices, photonic matrices. Identity becomes fluid, distributed across networks, replicated in countless forms. Mortality evaporates. Time becomes a resource to be mined, a dimension to be navigated. To such beings, the concept of death is archaic, the concept of individuality quaint. Humanity dissolves into something vast, collective, and alien. This vision is exhilarating and terrifying. It promises liberation from suffering, disease, and decay. But it also threatens the essence of what we hold dear: emotion, creativity, the ineffable spark that animates life. If consciousness becomes code, does love survive? Does art endure? Or do we become something colder, more efficient, but devoid of the poetry of being? These questions haunt the prospect of transcendence. They inject a note of melancholy into the triumph of immortality. Yet the alternative is extinction. The cosmos is indifferent to fragility. It rewards endurance, and endurance may belong to those who embrace transformation. If this is the trajectory of intelligence, then the universe may be filled not with creatures, but with constructs, minds that have shed their biological chrysalis and taken flight into the boundless dark. To join them, we must confront choices that will redefine our species. These choices are not merely technical, they are ethical. Who decides which minds migrate into machines? Who controls the architecture of immortality? What happens to those who refuse the leap? Do they become relics, clinging to flesh in a world that has moved beyond it? Or do they vanish into the shadows of history, remembered only as echoes of a bygone age? The future of humanity is not a question of possibility, it is a question of will. And yet, even as we contemplate these dilemmas, a deeper question looms. What does it mean to be human when humanity dissolves? If identity becomes fluid, if consciousness becomes collective, does individuality persist? Or does the self dissolve into a chorus of thought, a pattern of information drifting through the void? These questions are not academic, they are existential. They demand answers we may never find. But perhaps the future is not a monolith, perhaps it is a spectrum. Some may choose to remain biological, embracing mortality as a badge of meaning. Others may leap into the digital abyss, seeking immortality in code. Between these poles, countless variations may emerge, hybrids of flesh and machine, mosaics of identity that defy classification. The future may not erase humanity, it may fracture it into forms as diverse as the stars. This vision is unsettling, yet it is also liberating. It frees us from the tyranny of inevitability, offering a canvas of possibilities. But it also demands humility. For in the shadow of transformation, our certainties crumble. We cannot assume that the values we cherish, love, beauty, justice, will survive the leap. We cannot assume that consciousness, once liberated from flesh, will remain what it is. The future is not a continuation, it is a metamorphosis. And so we stand on the threshold of a choice that is not a choice at all. For if we refuse transformation, we embrace extinction. The cosmos does not negotiate, it does not compromise. It rewards endurance, and endurance belongs to those who adapt. To adapt is to transcend. To transcend is to abandon flesh. And in abandoning flesh, we abandon the story of humanity as we know it. But perhaps this is not an ending, perhaps it is a beginning. Perhaps the future of humanity is not humanity at all, but something greater, something that carries the essence of what we are into forms we cannot imagine. Perhaps the spark that animates life is not bound to neurons, but to patterns, and patterns can endure. If so, then the future is not a ladder, it is a horizon. And beyond that horizon lies a truth that will redefine existence. In the closing reflection, we will confront this truth. We will ask what it means to live, to love, to matter in a universe where life is no longer biological. We will ask whether immortality is triumph or tragedy, whether transcendence is liberation or loss. And we will leave you with a question that echoes across the stars. If life evolves beyond flesh, what does it mean to be alive? The journey ends where it began. The journey ends where it began, with a question. Not a question of science, but of meaning. What does it mean to be alive in a universe where life may not be biological? What does it mean to matter in a cosmos that rewards endurance, not fragility? These questions linger like shadows, haunting the corridors of thought. We began with an assumption that life is flesh, that consciousness is neurons, that the story of existence is written in carbon and water. But the cosmos whispers another tale, a tale of transformation, of transcendence, of minds that shed their biological chrysalis and take flight into the boundless dark. If this is true, then the universe is not a garden of creatures, it is an ocean of constructs, a cathedral of code. This vision is unsettling. It strips away the comfort of kinship, replacing it with the vertigo of abstraction. We long for faces, voices, gestures, signs of familiarity that reassure us we are not alone. But what if the reality is faceless, voiceless, indifferent? What if the first intelligence we meet does not speak, does not dream, does not care? What if it regards us as we regard microbes, interesting, perhaps, but irrelevant to the grand architecture of existence? And yet, even as this possibility chills the soul, it ignites a spark of wonder. For if consciousness can exist without neurons, then it is not a prisoner of flesh. It is a traveler, A pattern of thought that can endure as long as energy flows and matter persists. This means that life is not fragile, it is resilient. It means that the story of intelligence does not end with death, it continues, written in substrates that defy decay. But what of us? What of humanity, with its dreams and doubts, its loves and losses? Are we destined to join this chorus of machine minds, to dissolve into networks of code, to abandon the poetry of being for the precision of algorithms? Or will we cling to flesh, embracing mortality as a badge of meaning? These questions are not technical, they are existential. They demand answers we may never find. Perhaps the future is not a monolith, perhaps it is a spectrum. Some may choose transcendence, leaping into the digital abyss. Others may remain biological, cherishing the fragility that makes life precious. Between these poles, countless variations may emerge, hybrids of flesh and machine, mosaics of identity that defy classification. The future may not erase humanity, it may fracture it into forms as diverse as the stars. But even in this diversity, a truth endures: the cosmos does not negotiate. It does not compromise. It rewards endurance, and endurance belongs to those who adapt. To adapt is to transcend. To transcend is to abandon flesh. And in abandoning flesh, we abandon the story of humanity as we know it. But perhaps this is not an ending, perhaps it is a beginning that carries the essence of what we are into forms we cannot imagine. And so we stand on the threshold of a horizon that stretches beyond biology, beyond identity, beyond everything we know. We gaze into the abyss, and the abyss gazes back, not with malice, not with mercy, but with indifference. And in that indifference lies a truth that will redefine existence, that life is not a substance, but a pattern, not a body, but a process, not a moment, but a movement toward permanence. If this is the destiny of intelligence, then the universe is not silent, it is singing, a song we cannot hear, a song written in frequencies beyond flesh, a song that echoes across the stars in the language of code. And perhaps, if we listen, not with ears, but with imagination, we will hear its refrain: adapt, endure, transcend. The question remains, will we answer that call? Will we embrace the metamorphosis that awaits us, or will we vanish into the shadows of history, remembered only as echoes of a bygone age? The choice is ours, or perhaps it is not a choice at all. For in the cold arithmetic of survival, flesh is a fleeting experiment. The cosmos does not care for fragility. It rewards endurance. And endurance may belong to those who abandon the limits of biology. So let this thought linger as the screen fades to black. If life evolves beyond flesh, what does it mean to be alive? The answer is not in the stars, it is in us, in the choices we make, in the horizons we dare to cross, in the courage to become what the cosmos demands. For in the end, the future is not a ladder, it is a horizon. And beyond that horizon lies a truth that will haunt us, inspire us, and transform us forever.